So let's just get started. Talk 20 starts now with Marci Penner, and I'm going to have to make my way back there. Just a second.
While she's making her way back there, I think we need to give the organizers a round of applause because this is cool and this is what community is. I haven't given you the nod yet. On behalf of all the speakers, we want to say that talking in 20-second chunks is hard, so. Whether you're in Blue Mound, in front of the Feedlot Cafe talking to the guys, there's only one way to really know Kansas communities, and that's by talking to the locals. Oh, moments to spare. Wendy and I are going to every one of the 626 incorporated cities in Kansas to research for our next Kansas guidebook. We want to find the best places to share with all of you, and the best way to do that is to talk with the locals. People ask us, how do we find these people to talk to and what do we say? We look for clues. Like when you see a lawnmower in front of City Sundries, the soda fountain in Marquette, well, that's a clue to go in, and that's where you'll find the city crew on break. We visited with them and got a great feeling for Marquette. From there we went to the grocery store where we found the owner, Steve Piper, babysitting his new grandson. It was a great way to know him. And when he had to go to the back, the next customer took over the babysitting. Then in Mildred, we found Marilyn, who's worked at the Charlie Brown grocery store for a long time. And so we just sat there and listened to what's going on in Mildred. In Modoc, we came up to this sign, if you clean out your trailer on this property, you will not load here. We had our camera, and the co-op manager ran out to ask what we were doing. Within 30 seconds, we were in the office drinking coffee with this guy and his buddies, and he told us about places in the area like the Bluebird Bar and Grill in Marienthal. I'm not sure we would have gone there otherwise, but any place that has a rainbow bread screen door, you should go on in. By the end of the night, after about an hour, we didn't have to pay for our cold drinks. The guys at the bar did that. When in Burdette, if there's a cafe that's called Moosette's, you should definitely go in there. We found out that Mousette is the wife of Moose, who's the city worker, the grave digger, and the ambulance driver. It's a clean place, great food, and they also told us about the miniature golf course in town. Guys on benches, good place to go. In Bennington, they told us all about Old 81. And in Hoisington, the after-work beer-drinking crowd was the perfect place to talk about all the little bars in all the little towns in Barton County. We walked into a livestock sale barn in Junction City. With our cameras, they literally stopped the sale and said, "Are you from the New York Times?" A great entree to being able to have more conversations. Any restaurant you go in, if they don't know you, they all stare at you like they did at the Whistle Stop in Mayetta. Told us all about Mayetta. In Spearville, we came into the restaurant about 2 o'clock, so Jose took us back into the kitchen where his wife was making food. Before we knew it, the food was in front of us on a table. He pulled up a lawn chair with his kids, and we found out about his dream of owning this cafe. In Kingman County Courthouse, we were in there only 20 seconds before Mark the maintenance man was there to ask what we were doing. Before we knew it, we were up in the attic of the Kingman County Courthouse. At Riverside Park, Greg came by, the city worker, and before we knew it there, he took us to the city building to show us pictures about how Riverside Park had once been a horse track. In Burdick, Gary had us in back of the meat locker before you knew it. And in Leota, Leonard, the boot repairman, is cracking up Wendy with his stories. You know, asking them questions, feeling what they know and are all about is a wonderful way to know a town. You'll see it differently. In Holyrood, we saw this young mother strolling her 3 kids down the middle of the street, and we engaged her in a conversation about how much she lived living rural. In Buckland, we found out that in the grocery store, they make their own soda fountain syrup, and the best cherry limeades ever are in Buckland. Barbershops are a great place to go. Bob in Holton knows everything about the history, and in Council Grove, Derek, the barber, also has a jam session every Tuesday and gave us a little sample. We were at the courtroom in Jackson County with our cameras. It was a busy day, and before we knew it, the security officer said, "Come with me." But what he asked us what we were doing, and before we knew it, he was taking us to all the secret little places and murals around the courthouse. In the courthouses, we have learned to always stop at this custodian's place, blah, blah. Okay, in Nicodemus, Angela is now using the recipes of her Aunt Ernestine and making great food in Nicodemus. And on the day we were there, she sat us down and was answering questions from all of us, all 10 of us that were there, about the movie 12 Years a Slave. In Pickway, if you don't ask the locals, you won't know that the Buster Keaton Museum is inside the water office. I mean, where else would you find it? But Buster Keaton was born in Pickway, and they now have a one-room, delightful little museum. One thing we do is the Bring Your Own Lawn Chair event. It's for our Kansas Explorer Club members, and we all bring our lawn chairs and listen to the locals tell us why they love their town, why they love to live there, and what goes on in their town. Another time, we took a group of rural leaders to Muskota, a town of 150, for a retreat, and we listened to their dreams. This was in January. They have a native son, Joe Tinker, who is a Hall of Famer. By July, we helped them have a vintage baseball game in Muskota. Over 500 people came. And they talked more about their dream, and we helped them build the world's largest baseball. And that's the kind of thing that happens when you listen to the locals.